Hey everyone, it's Mark. I'm posting this video on April 1st, 2023, which makes today the 26th anniversary of the Pokemon anime's first ever episode. A day filled with tributes and memories of a fantastic show that has been around for most, if not all, of our lives. That also makes today April Fool's Day, and since I have a pretty successful series of videos on this channel ranking all of Ash's gym battles in every region, I thought it would be fun to make an Orange Islands video at some point, so why not on April Fool's Day? This video is not a prank. This is my actual ranking of how much I enjoyed each of Ash's Orange Islands gym battles, if we can even call them gym battles. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you want to make me smile, and now here are all 5 of Ash Ketchum's Orange Island gym battles ranked from worst to best. Number 5, Ash vs. Luana. I'm really surprised that I'm putting this battle at the bottom, considering this is probably the most normal battle in this entire video. The backstory here was that Ash needed one more gym badge to challenge the Orange League, and Luana contested her gym matches under double battle rules. Notably, this was the first ever double battle in the history of the anime, well, the first official one, I should say. This was also the first gym battle to ever have a judge or referee, but let's move on from the pointless trivia and talk about the actual battle. Just a few episodes before this one was Charizard Chills, the iconic episode where Ash finally earned his Charizard's trust. So Ash was going to be pretty tough to beat with this powerhouse finally on his side. While Luana chose the team of Alakazam and Marowak, Ash decided to use Charizard and Pikachu. And since this was the first ever official double battle, I guess the anime couldn't resist using the storyline where Ash's Pokemon couldn't get along and refused to work as a team. That's the reason why I have this battle in last place in this ranking. I feel like this was an unnecessary writing choice that just made the battle way less fun than it could have been. Sure, once Charizard and Pikachu get on the same page, it's pretty cool, but the battle ended pretty quickly after this, with Luana's Pokemon knocking each other out thanks to Bone Meringue nailing Alakazam head-on, which caused it to redirect its Hyper Beam straight into its teammate. Sure, it was cool to see Ash's Pokemon work together to win a double battle, which was an incredibly novel concept at the time, but looking back on it all these years later, it just doesn't hold up all that well. Number 4, Ash vs. Sissy. Ash's first Orange Islands gym battle comes in at number 4, and it was against Sissy, whose specialty was water. We also learned in this episode that Tracy's specialty of sketching wasn't reserved for only Pokemon, but that's besides the point.
Well, a guy can't just watch Pokémon all the time.
Ash had actually just met Tracy in the episode right before this one, and that's also when he caught his Lapras, who was going to play a pretty major role in this gym battle, but more on that later. First, Ash had to face off against Sissy in a water gun skeet shooting competition, and yeah, I'm being serious, this gym battle was actually just a test to see which Pokemon can knock down the most cans with their water gun. They tried to make this as exciting as possible before switching to moving targets, and it was pretty clear that these two were evenly matched. They ended up drawing after both of their Pokemon hit the final target at the exact same time. Now we can finally get to the part that everyone remembers about this gym battle, the Pokemon Water Ride. In other words, first trainer and Pokemon to swim out past the marker and make it back to shore would be declared the winner. Even though there wasn't any battling going on here, they did make this part genuinely exciting, and even though Ash and Lapras had just met, they weren't going to let Sissy and Blastoise win without putting up a fight. Just when things are starting to come down to the wire, a shocking turn of events happens. No, seriously, like an actual tidal wave pops up from behind them. Uh-oh. In this moment, we see Ash's Lapras use Ice Beam for the first time, saving everyone from the massive wave. This is what gives Ash the idea to have Lapras use Ice Beam and glide back to shore, and in a photo finish, Ash and Lapras just barely win. For an introduction to Orange Island's gyms, this was pretty good. For an introduction to what Lapras is capable of, this was fantastic. So let's move on to the next entry in this list. Number 3, Ash vs. Danny. Notice how I did not say the next battle on this list, because Ash vs. Danny had even less battling than Ash vs. Sissy. The setting for this battle was Navel Island, which is basically only made up of this giant mountain. Honestly, kind of reminds me of Koholint Island from Link's Awakening, which is one of the few Legend of Zelda games I actually know anything about. Anyways, back to the matter at hand, the Navel Island gym leader was this guy named Danny, honestly probably the most generic white guy in the history of the Pokemon anime. His gym challenge involved hiking up this gigantic mountain, which includes climbing up steep rock walls without any help from your Pokemon. Shouldn't they make challengers have to sign a waiver or something before they risk their lives like this? Once the rock climbing is done, they reach the snowy peak of the mountain, and all this was just a test to weed out challengers who weren't tough enough to take on the actual gym battle, if we can even call it a battle. The first section of the match was who could freeze a geyser the fastest, which Danny won. If Ash didn't defeat Danny in the last 2 trials, he would lose. The next test was to see who could fashion their hunk of ice into a sled the fastest, and the 3 Pokemon Ash chose to use in this round were Pikachu, Bulbasaur, and Charizard, who was still disobedient at this point. Ash was on the fast track to losing this part as well, but after begging Charizard to help him, the fire type just got annoyed and tried to blast Ash with Flamethrower, and in doing so, accidentally carved their sled to perfection, giving Ash the win, as well as another surprise Pikachu face. Well, I'm not sure how Ash has made it this far, but he only has to win one more challenge to earn his badge. The final test, a race down the entire mountain using the sleds they just crafted. First one to reach the finish line down at the shore is the overall winner. This is kind of an iconic scene, I guess. At least the visual of Ash riding down the sled with his Pokemon is a memorable one, even though the only reason he ends up winning is because his sled starts to melt and break apart, which causes him to speed totally out of control over the finish line, earning him the badge. At least I was entertained throughout this whole episode, so that's why Ash vs. Danny gets the number 3 ranking. Number 2, Ash vs. Rudy. Okay everyone, it's story time! As Ash and friends approached the island for his next gym battle, they saw a little girl and a seal drowning in a whirlpool. Misty to the rescue, and she ends up saving this girl whose name is Mari. And guess what? Mari's older brother is Rudy, the Trovita Island gym leader, and after seeing Misty save his little sister's life, Rudy now has a crush on Misty, which is exactly the storyline we all wanted to see in a gym battle episode. Honestly, Misty was the main character in this episode, which is fine, just a little strange. Rudy spends way more time trying to woo Misty than he does focusing on Ash's gym challenge. The first thing Ash has to do in order to earn a badge is a game of break the targets, and while he's going all out to pass this trial, Rudy is just flirting with Misty in the back of the boat. Despite this, Ash successfully passes this test, which Misty is excited about, and this makes Rudy jealous. I promise we're getting to the battle at some point here. This entire episode wasn't just a romance drama. I say that, but the next 5 minutes of this episode consisted of Rudy trying to win over Misty, and he even asked her to stay on Trovita Island and live with Rudy and Mari forever. Alright, lover boy, I've had enough of this nonsense. Let's get to the gym battle already. And yeah, this was an actual battle, believe it or not. The rules of this match were best 2 out of 3, and Rudy was going to pick the same types as his challenger. Since Ash led with Pikachu, Rudy used Electabuzz. And since most of this episode was dedicated to the Misty and Rudy love story, this battle didn't get much screen time. But after Electabuzz KO'd Pikachu, Rudy was only 1 win away from victory, which made Mari pretty excited, but Misty not so much. Luckily for Ash, Bulbasaur would even the score in the battle of the grass types, and the decisive game 3 came down to Squirtle versus Starmie. The bad news for Ash was that Rudy's Starmie knew Thunderbolt, so Ash is probably going to lose here. But hold on, let's check back in with Misty, and she is done sitting on the fence. She starts yelling out to Ash, encouraging him to win the battle. Rudy hears all of this, and yeah, the kid's heartbroken. Okay, well, if he wasn't already upset enough, Ash's Squirtle miraculously learns Hydro Pump just when it looked like Squirtle was going to lose, and this new technique allows Squirtle to get back into the match, winning Ash the battle. Sure, this episode did have way more to do with Ash vs. Rudy in the battle for Misty's heart than it did for Ash vs. Rudy the gym battle, but even if I did just make fun of the storyline for the past few minutes, it did add some tension to the battle, and it makes Ash vs. Rudy stand out as being pretty memorable. Oh, and it involved an actual battle, so no wonder it ranked so highly. Number 1, Ash vs. Drake. Hold on, is this even a gym battle? Well, technically, Drake holds the title of Supreme Gym Leader of the Orange Crew, so if he's a gym leader and had an official match against Ash, that makes it a gym battle, right? I mean, look, if we're counting some of the other ridiculousness on this list as gym battles, then we can include Ash vs. Drake too, okay? I'd love to do a deep dive on this topic one day, maybe when I make a review of the Orange Island season, but for now, how come the Orange League culminated in a single battle against Drake and not your typical Pokemon League conference? We even got hints throughout the Orange Island season that trainers who won all 4 badges would compete against one another in the Orange League, and other characters even told Ash that they'd be at the Orange League. But then none of that happened. Instead, Ash just arrived on Pumelo Island, registered his badges, and was signed up for a full battle against Drake. Wait, what? Oh well, at least Ash vs. Drake ended up being quite the spectacle. This was the first 6-on-6 full battle that Ash ever competed in, and he even ended up recalling one of his Tauros to use in this battle. I don't think I need to break down this match in its entirety. It honestly doesn't require a lot of explanation to understand why Ash vs. Drake is the runaway #1 on this list. It's probably one of the best battles in the entire original series. It even spanned across 2 episodes, which is way more screen time than most original series battles got. And even though this was Ash's first 6-on-6 battle ever, it still remains one of his most unique full battles to this day because of how the match was structured. Ash was able to use smart strategy to take down all of Drake's Pokemon one by one, only losing 2 Pokemon along the way before Drake was down to his last one. The real battle was only just beginning though, because this entire 6v6 was built around one Pokemon, Dragonite. They made this Dragonite seem like an absolute beast. It even used 10 moves in this battle. That's how OP it was. But to see Ash and Pikachu pull through and slay the dragon together, it was awesome. And this was no doubt one of Ash's greatest accomplishments, especially early on in his career as a Pokemon trainer. I think it goes without question that Ash vs. Drake was the best Orange Islands gym battle, but let me know what your rankings would be down in the comments. I have so much nostalgia for this season of the anime, so I'll always enjoy discussing anything related to the Orange Islands. Be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'll have more ranking videos coming soon about Ash's other important battles. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.